So let's start with a recap of Tesla, another video on trade Tesla for living. So let's see what was the pre-market plan on Tesla. Tesla, Morgan Stanley downgraded it, and the robots were falling. There was some kind of news about that, and they also introduced a lower cost model of Model 3. So that was the news in the pre-market on Tesla, and our plan was simple: bearish bias to short under MTF clouds as long as it's under 450. So we will short it as long as it's under 450. If it reclaims 450, then we can look for the bounce versus 448. We'll be watching the flow and the market. So 447, 450, and we were ready. So as soon as the market opened, you see this is the Ripster EMA clouds. This is the 1 hour MTF clouds, and it's gapping down. It's already gapping down from 455 to 440. To 448. So as soon as I see that it's breaking down this pre-market level and rejecting the MTF clouds, right away I tell the traders it's an MTF short. Now you see this is the first 30-minute action. Remember this action. You see the big first 10-minute candle down, the second candle pop up. Now an amateur trader would get scared and he would try to go long because he sees this swipe. But you don't really need to go long there. It's still under the clouds, it's still under the pre-market lows. So when it's under that pre-market low level, you know that the short is going to work. And that's what, and you wait for the 10 a.m. flag breakdown, right? So we were MTF short, right, with our stops at 448, and just like in the pre-market planning, we were bearish because it never pushed over 450. So as it started to flush, I told the traders that there's a support at 444. This is where it was bouncing. It was continuously bouncing right here. We'll see how the CVNA worked. Similar thing was in CVNA. But as soon as the 445 buyer was gone, we put the stops at 447.50 when it was popping here. And I told the trader it's rejecting. You see like guidance here. As it started to move down, we moved our stops lower. And then I told the traders there's a 4444 bear flag. And once the bear flag was broken, it's a confirmed bearish trade for the rest of the day. You could hold your shorts, you could hold your puts, you could trade leverage ETF, TSLQ long on there. And the next first target was 442, the second target was 440, third target I gave was 437.80 and 436.60. As you see, all targets met. 442, 440, we met other 436.60 target as well. And after meeting all my targets, you see where it was bouncing. It was bouncing right from my second target. It tried to bounce. But watch here, it could never really push over these candles or the 512 clouds, even though it showed like it's gonna curl, but it did not curl. And then I sent a signal that it's a failed curl. We were closing it because it was curling, but because since it was a failed curl, we was a re-shorted. Right? So it was a re-shorted. So once the 437 was gone, it was a short all the way down to here. And then finally it curled here, created a nice little cup and handle. That's where we exited. I did tell the traders that you could long Tesla here for this nice little cup and handle. And there was a breakout alert I sent. So you could risk like a $1 here and you could make like couple of bucks, nothing crazy. So that was a Tesla trade. You could easily short a few hundred shares, risk a couple of $100, and by the end of the day you are almost making $10 per share profit, right? On 100 shares you're making $1,000, and 500 shares you're making almost $4 to $5 grand, and you're risking 500 shares, you're barely risking that $500-$600 because your stops are right here at this area, and you short it here. If you short here, your stops are like a couple of dollars up, so you're risking $2, but you're still making over $8 on this trade. This is how you do it. You could trade options 100% as well, or you could trade the leverage ETFs. You could trade the TSLA short, the smaller name, or you could trade TSLQ. So that's how you do it. Beautiful trade in Tesla. So next one you look at is CVNA. So CVNA was another beautiful top play in the community. So the CVNA, the plan was to long if it reclaims 435 or the pre-market breakout, gap and crap under 430. So pretty, these were the levels we created in the pre-market. So you could see that, I had these levels of 430 and also had a level of 435. So when the market opened, I see this first candle down. I said shorted gap and crap versus 436 stops. And you could see that we flushed it from 434 to 425 once, bounced again towards 433, and pulled back, pushed again, pulled back. It did that for 4 times. So that's when I told the traders that there's a big buyer at 425, just like how there was a big buyer on Tesla, which finally gave up after 10 a.m. But after 10 a.m., CFVNA went to the other side. So you see there was a buyer at 425. So I told the traders there's a buyer at 425, salaries at 433. So we have to be careful. So as soon as CVNA pushed here, we closed our short. And then we got long. So I told the traders 512 calls versus 432, and you can also trade leverage ETFs CVN6. The first target I gave was 438. That was from this level, the resistance level, and then we were flagging. I gave the next target as 442.50, and we hit the 442.50. As we started to move up, I told the traders to keep the stops up, keep moving the stops up. So we moved the stops to 437.50. We moved the stops to 445. So the target was 445, 450. I gave those targets early in the morning, and we moved the stops higher. We also hit 445, and once we crossed 445, I told the traders that it's a clear sky. It's basically clear sky over this resistance. There's no doubt you're going to 450. So the 450 was the target, and we hit 455, and then slowly we hit 450, and even after 450 we continued to break out, and we went on to hit 456.97, and then we finally exited when 512 Ripster clouds break. So you just need to get in when the Ripster clouds curl and get out when the Ripster clouds are breaking down. Ripster cloud itself will give you a home run. At 434, risking $2, we almost made $20 per share profit. If you were risking $1,000, that was a $10,000 trade on the shares. Of course, the options also went 300% on this trade with the Ripster cloud. Understand the concept of the buyers and sellers, the tape reading, the first amateur move, the 10 a.m. bounces. These are the key teachings that you need to learn in these two setups. Thank you. So the next one we're going to look at is Netflix, right? So why Netflix? Netflix is a day 2 setup. Whenever a stock has earnings on a big day on the day 1, or it has a big news, you always focus on the day 2s, right? So Netflix has a big news on Friday. We saw the move, and this morning it was our day 2 setup. Not only was it our day 2 setup, but also it had the price target was lowered by Bernstein, so it had a news. So support was 198 and the resistance was 101. The plan was simple: trade versus 100. What does that mean? If a Ripster cloud says it's bullish, you buy it long. If Ripster cloud says it's bearish, you short it or you buy the puts. So I did tell the traders be cautious of the chop, watch Friday lows. If it breaks the Friday lows, it's going to go higher. That was the plan. And as soon as the market opened, Netflix flushed right under that, and you just need to put your stops at 100 and take that short and not even think twice about it. You put your stops at 100, take that short, take the Netflix down, and that's exactly what my traders in the community did. So Netflix from 100 short, power of the 100 psychological level. The target I gave was 95, and even from that 98 we flushed into that 95 target. We were short of 30 cents. So it was rejecting the Ripster 1 hour clouds, and it also broke the yesterday's support. It broke support here at 99, then it broke yesterday's lows here. Whenever something breaks this yesterday lows, it's confirmed bearish, it's going to flush much more. And this is where we finally covered it, because it was reclaiming the 512 clouds and hitting the 3450. But this is the power of the psychological level, guys. The other example of this is Lilly. The traders in the community were trading Lilly actively. Why was they trading Lilly? Because Lilly was again on our game plan. Lilly 6 days red, testing 2021 MTF and 1000, right? So still under the 1 MTF clouds. Watch if it holds 1K for bias. Do not long it under it. If it breaks 1K, we short it. That's what my traders know. And as you see that once Lilly broke the 1000, it flushed. Even before 1000 you could take a short earlier, because I gave this level right here at 1010. You could short it under 1010, and you put your stops right up over the top of the candle, and then you flush it to 1000. You hold it, you add more. You see the bear flag. This was the bear flag at 1000, and it flushed another $12 to 988. Finally, when it started pushing over that, we closed the trade. But you understand that you could really short versus 100, right? So there were many other setups similar to that. Alta was a great setup. It was my top day 2, day 3 setup. Let's go here. Alta, top day 2, day 3 setup. The plan was simple: trade versus 600, long over 610, short under 600. So the plan was given to the traders, and traders executing it with confidence. Everybody trading Alta on the day 2 setup was beautiful. Top play on the day 2s, and Alta also right as soon as you start shorting here, it's break 600, you hold the short, you take it all the way to 572. Even if you're 100 shares short, 50 shares short, that's a pretty profitable trade. On the 100 shares, you could easily make 2,000. On 50 shares, you probably make $1,000, risking just $100. And or you could buy the puts anyway you want to trade it, but there was no long. We finally closed when Alta curled here at the 5. Right here is when we closed the trade on Alta. Some of the losing trades we had in the community. Let's take a look at the first one was AVGO. So AVGO is on our watch list. We're planning to trade under 400 level. Again, another psychological level trade, but you see that the power of psychological level, you try to buy it versus 400 for the push, and as soon as it fails that, you get out. It was choppy all day because it was under the 512 clouds. I really had no interest. So this was an amateur move. We were longer over 405s. As soon as it breaks this 402, we actually closed it. We didn't even wait for 400 because we knew that it could go there at 34.50. So that was a morning amateur loser. And the similar stock that we were trading, that kind of was little the thing was the Nasdaq was pretty strong earlier in the day, but as soon as the Nasdaq became weak, all our longs on the semiconductors did not work. So I told the traders to short the Taiwan Semi versus 300. It did dip down, but it swiped right back. It did dip down to 298 and it stopped us out. Even after that, from the 300, it did flush down, if you see, towards 296 to short back in the gap and crap. So it was a decent trade if you shorted it again, but you see that you just need to short it versus 300, take it down to 297, and when it curls, you need to get out. So the reason this trade turned from the bullish to bearish setup, because the Nasdaq, if you look at Nasdaq was kind of a strong at the open, the first candle, and then it was bearish. So let's look at the quickly wrap up with the Nasdaq and SPY QQQ. So the plan on SPY QQQ was pretty simple this morning. The plan on SPY QQQ was, if VIX bounces of 1620, we will short the market. If it breaks, we will long the market. So that was the plan with the VIX strategy, right? So if you look at the QQQs, I'm just going to show you my guidance here. You see that SPY was bearish initially, QQQ was bullish. That's how we were trying to long those semiconductors. And when the QQQ turned bearish, I told the traders to short it. It's heavy and no longs. Target is MTF. The QQQ flushed nice. So this was a trend, guys. When you see this line like this is the trend. This is when SPX, QQQ, Nasdaq, future traders make money. Ripster Clouds is breaking down. It's not pushing over the pre-market highs. Failed amateur move, breaking under this pre-market 34.50. You take it short, stops under there. You take it to the MTF Clouds. You make $3 a short there, and a decent on the option trades as well. So you can see all the timestamp guidance here, and that was when the VIX was bouncing from 16.
To trade with Ripster. Join the community at www.tenettradegroup.com.